Live from MMA Fighting Studios, this is Between the Links. And now, your host, Mike Heck.
The iconic voice of Esther Lynn welcomes you to a brand new edition of BTL. Welcome back to another Thursday show. And once again, so much to talk about, so much to recap, so much to react to. So let's get right into it. Let us introduce the combatants, at least who we have here. We'll talk about more of that in a second. First, he's our Woody Page. He's Mr. No Gray Area. No fence sitting at all for this man. He's from MMAfighting.com, and he has a great message on the whiteboard. Mr. Jed Meshew, the quarter unit king. How are you, sir?
Aside from the great message on the whiteboard, you said one of our combatants, because there's only one of us, Mike. Somebody who's too scared to show up. I thought John Jones was the biggest coward in MMA. Not true. Shaheen Al-Shadi, where you at, bro? TKO round one, Jed Meshew.
Oh, man. Yes, hammer time indeed. Hello, Shaheen. Way more hair than you usually have. Truth be told, Sean was and is still sort of scheduled to join us. He is having internet issues, and it happened at the absolute worst time. So we had this whole show planned. We had all of these different rounds and topics. But what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to Audible. We're going to the People's BTL. We're going to do a Q&A. So we're going to let you guys dictate the topics, the questions. Of course, we have the super chat features. You can jump the line. You guys weren't ready for this. So I'm going to let this all linger. I'm going to let you all put in your questions because I think everything we were going to talk about anyways, you were going to touch on. We're going to touch on anyways. Jed, what were you going to say?
Here's something else they're not ready because you're not ready because I just thought of this right now. Since somebody is too shook to step up, you put in a super chat for, what do we say, $100? You can come in and fight me on BTL. Do we think $100 is the number, Mike?
I mean, we could start the bidding at $100 and then we can just go.
Ooh, a bidding war. See, boom. All I know is I showed up. I am not what did Conor McGregor famously call Habib? A pullout merchant. Not me. I show up every time is necessary, and some of us are too shook to answer the call. So, Casey, I'd like you to put another W up on the board for me on my official record, and then let's get to chatting with the peeps.
Hey, listen, Shaheen still might show up. So while we let the questions compile, I want to get your thoughts on this thing first because I want to start with yesterday. Wednesday, for those listening way in the future, you're getting the victory theme already. And your prizes, we get to talk about some breaking news we got yesterday, Jed. Ariel Helwani teased it before the MMA Hour, and we got it. June 1st, in the year of our Lord 2024, it is going to be a very busy day in the combat sports world. We'll have the Better BF Bivol boxing match. As it seems currently, it's not officially official. That is going to be the date of UFC 302. At least it's targeted for that. Expected to be in Newark, New Jersey. But across the country, all the way on the other coast, Inglewood, California, Casey Leiden's backyard. Maybe he ends up on this card. Another big fight and event is set. It's the rematch, this time in the boxing ring between Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. 10 rounds, 175 pounds, at the Fabulous Forum. Signed, sealed, and delivered. So this was kind of hard to put into words for a number of reasons because we knew this fight between Diaz and Masvidal was being talked about. We knew it was going to get booked. We just didn't know the location. We didn't know the date. And now it's over the goal line. It's a bit different than we thought it would be. I think it's a little bit later down the line than we thought it was going to be originally, but it is sharing a date with multiple events, Jed. So what is your reaction to the fight, this news, and the fact that it's happening June 1st, potentially sharing a day with the UFC and another big boxing event?
I was a little surprised, right? Like, I think we all know that this is sort of where they were targeting, but I just kind of was skeptical that it was going to happen, I guess, which is maybe silly of me because it does make sense for them both from a business standpoint, even if does anyone care about this competitively? I'm not sure. If you do, great. Like, you're going to enjoy yourselves. This is just, I watched them fight before. Yes, this is boxing and not MMA. I would still suggest that a very similar outcome is likely to occur. But I was really interested in the date they chose to do it, because we do know that the UFC is allowing this to happen from Jorge's position, right? Like, they still have him under contract. They have allowed him to pursue boxing matches. Um, and I don't know if they just didn't know the date he would pursue, but it does seem interesting for them to willingly go head to head with the UFC pay-per-view. Now, we have no idea what 302 is going to end up looking like. I'll also admit, the second thing I thought as I looked at like the conflicting schedules, like, why are they going to Jersey? They're going to Atlantic City like later this month. Why are we going back to Jersey for a pay-per-view? Neither here nor there. That could be a crappy pay-per-view. It's very, very possible because, as we'll talk, they've stacked a lot of their best fights onto a couple of key events this year, which is really minimizing their ability to fill up future stuff. So maybe 302 isn't good and they're not counter programming like a major pay-per-view or being counter programmed heavily by the UFC. But with the boxing, it's just feels like they could have picked any other weekend and that might have been smarter. So I would love to hear why this was the weekend chosen. But ultimately, do I care about this? Only because it's good for us. Like, there's going to be content from this. People will care, but this is not one for me.
Yeah. And we obviously talked a lot about this on Heck of a Morning. The date is just super weird. And I know Ariel talked about it on the MMA Hour, saying that he obviously like asked about the date and they were like, yeah, we're fine with it. We're not too worried about it. I got to tell you, man, if they book Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier to headline that card, they are screwed. They are completely screwed. I think their best hope right now, unless they're going to do this card super early, it is on the West Coast. They start in the afternoon, and maybe the main card walks start at like 8 p.m. Eastern or 9 p.m. Eastern. I think that's one thing, but I think if we're going head-to-head with the pay-per-view headline by Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier, not a good thing, especially with both events at the time, since we don't go with the foundation that we buy pay-per-views 2 months before they happen, or even 3 months in this case, to save the extra money. We just wait till like the day before or the day of to buy it. So are people going to spend $80 on the UFC and spend $80 on this? Probably not. Honestly, I think their best hope right now, and I don't want this to sound like I'm being a prick, but I'm just being honest from a business sense. I think if you're Masvidal, Diaz, which I don't even think they really care what the UFC main event is, because I think they're going to get paid the same no matter what. But I think if you're the actual promoter that's putting this event on, I think you better pray Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad is the main event. I think that's like your best hope right now, because that's not going to do a great number on pay-per-view. But Islam versus Poirier, especially after what happened this past weekend, is going to do bonkers on pay-per-view.
Yeah. I mean, look, I am not in charge of Jorge Masvidal's finances, and I'm sure he's doing okay. He perhaps consider being more concerned about location and things like this, because like all of the game bred fights just are in giant arenas that sell 7 tickets based on like Ticketmaster. And now this is like, we're not concerned about this. Like, I don't know, man, maybe you should be. Like, location is half the battle, and you have not picked an ideal location temporally. I mean, I think the location physically is great. Like, doing it in California obviously makes a ton of sense. I just like the weekend before is, at least right now, an open UFC weekend. Like, there's nothing in that. Why wouldn't you just be there? Because even if that becomes not an open UFC weekend, it's going to be an Apex card. So it's just, you are not setting yourself up optimally.
And it's Memorial Day weekend.
Here. Didn't even think of that. Like, it's just, they could be optimizing this better. And I'm sure that there must be a reason if it's that this is the venue they wanted and this is the only date available for that venue. I don't know, but they feel like they have landed on not a great time for this.
Yeah. So just to be clear, the pay-per-view is being provided by FanMio. So they're the same company that put the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather card together. So, and then they'll be like the promotional arms to the FanMio body. If Real Fight Inc. and Game Bread. So not sure how much they gain financially, or if they're just like, yeah, we'll do this for you guys, but you just have to put our names and our promotions as part of it. But I think a lot is riding on what headlines June 1st for how, I mean, for us, like people are going to want to know what happens. It's just a matter of, I think they'll sell tickets. It's Diaz. It's outside of Los Angeles. They're going to sell tickets for sure. Just how many people are going to pay $80 to watch this if the UFC is putting on a damn good card?
And that's like one of my major questions. Because if you'd asked me a month ago, I'd be like, yeah, they probably will end up fighting. And maybe this is just like lame and low hanging fruit to me. I'd be like, they'll probably fight in Saudi. Saudi's just throwing infinite dollars at stuff. And this wouldn't even be a high price point for them. Like they're not going to have to roll out Tyson Fury money to get this fight in Riyadh. They just be like, we'll give you each $5 million, which is nothing to us. And then that's a guarantee. Like by promoting it themselves, if it does gangbusters, great. They're going to make a ton. What is the appetite for this? I'm like you said, I'm certain they'll sell tickets. I'm sure there is an appetite locally. I've no idea what a pay-per-view appetite for this fight is at this stage of their lives.
We'll see. I mean, there is a story here. I was cage side for 244. I know how that fight went. Masvidal put a whooping on Nate. I didn't think it was going to get much better. But Nate also, the cut and the stoppage from the doctor, most other states probably don't stop that fight. So there's always that sort of, hey, I still won even though I lost, unfinished business type of thing. So we'll see. Two big stars, two big names. It'll be interesting to see how Nate approaches this fight compared to the Jake Paul fight. I assume it'll be much different, but we'll see. I'm sure there'll be more follow-up questions to that, but I just wanted to get your initial reaction to it. So let's go to the peeps. Let's discuss 299, Ngannou Joshua, all sorts of fun stuff. We had that. We reacted to Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, but I'm sure we might get questions about that too. Casey, hello. How are you?
Hi. I'm Sean. I'm Shaheen. I'm a big loser of bad internet.
Oh my God.
Go Suns.
I ain't saying any of this shit, Shaheen. Mark that down, deputy editor.
Oh, sorry. I am the great Shaheen. I am very handsome. And
look, it's my biceps.
Yeah, look at my biceps.
Yeah, I forgot I do have a meeting with Shaheen later. I take back all the things I said bad about you, Shaheen. I have a performance review with you later, Shaheen. My bad. You're doing great.
Doing great. Take your time. You and your AOL.
Hey, listen, it happens to me all the time, so I hear you.
All right, Google Fiber.
Yes. Here we go.
Pro Fights Info. RIP to Little Hammer, though. Mark's dog, who woke him up and saved him and his parents from the fire. Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, a little bit of an update. Mark Coleman breathing, talking, doing the thing, grateful. Feels like he's the luckiest man in the world. I'm sure you guys have seen the video on Twitter already. This friggin' guy,
get you right there.
There's video of him?
I got a little misty-eyed.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That's great. I haven't seen the video yet.
Pop it up. It'll go off camera because it'll get you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll get you.
Good for him.
And obviously condolences for Little Hammer, hero in his own right.
I hope now that it. So how's his status right now? Is he out of intensive care or what's
still in the ICU? But he is up. Like he is aware, awake, conversing. Seems to be in good shape.
Knows his parents are alive.
Okay,
that he's good. All that stuff.
He is up as a human and seems to be on a good path. So
that's fantastic. And since this is America, please donate to his GoFund because it sounds like the situation they're in financially is very, very bad medically, and also they lost a house. So any help you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Let's talk about last week.
Joseph, did the Sugar Show really arrive in Miami? Thought his fight was okay, but he couldn't finish Cheeto. Oh my God, Joseph, you're about to get it, brother. Now he wants Ilya Topuria. We have a contender at 145. Movsar Evloev. Is Sugar nervous of Merab? So look, there's so much wrong with this question.
Dude, he couldn't finish Cheeto.
Nobody.
What a loser. He couldn't finish Cheeto. He couldn't mop up the ocean either. What a fucking insane thing to say.
What are you talking, Joseph? I love you, buddy, but Jesus, this is a terrible take. Thought his fight was okay. I thought this is like one of his better, if not his best performance.
This is his best performance.
It was his best performance. Yeah. Best performance so far.
Close.
So here's the thing. Like, I've seen this take a lot. I've seen, it was just okay because he fought number 6 or number 7 Marlon Vera, but he didn't finish him, which I think you know by now the man is impossible to finish. He's also the only man to actually make Marlon Vera look like he was in an actual fist fight because no one has ever even put a mark on that man's
look
face.
Like Sloth from Goonies.
He dismembered the man. He looks like he looked like a different person. No one's done that to Cheeto before. Secondly, on the other side, I've seen some people say like, what Sean O'Malley did on Saturday was the greatest title defense I've ever seen, which is also not true because Volkanovski's had 3 better, Shevchenko's had like 3 better, and that's just off the top of my head. But what this was not a perfect game, but Sean O'Malley took a no-hitter took a no-hitter into the 9th. He gave up like an infield single and threw a 1-hit shutout. Like, it was a damn good performance against a tough, durable son of a gun in Marlon Vera. So okay is not the way I would describe this title defense, Jed.
Yeah, it was great. This is by far the best it's ever looked. If you want to say, he couldn't finish Cheeto, tell me who has. Who has, Joseph? Who's finished him? Did Corey Sandhagen finish him? Here's how good the performance was. Corey Sandhagen, who is invested in fighting Sean O'Malley as the champion of the weight class, goes on his YouTube, does a breakdown, and admits basically Sean did a lot of the same stuff I did to Cheeto, only he did a lot more of it and hit him a lot harder. And we all remember Corey Sandhagen hanging a 50-45 on Cheeto's ass. Like, this is an insane take. No, it's not the greatest performance ever. Yes, he got hit down the stretch because Cheeto's real hard and you just can't finish him. And so eventually you're going to give up some offense on the back end. I thought this is easily the best that Sean O'Malley has ever looked. This fight entirely, none of the rest of his fights have ever made me think he stands any chance against Merab. This fight, I am now like very interested in how that fight plays out as opposed to just being interested because it is what should happen. I now have legitimate questions what can go on here because he is improving, and not just improving, he showed durability. He showed a lot of stuff that I didn't know was in Sean O'Malley. I mentioned on the post show, and specifically the thing that stuck out to me the most in this fight is coming in. I thought that if Sean was going to win, it was going to be a Carlos Condit, Nate Diaz affair where he simply just can't engage in the kind of fight Marlon wants to engage in. But that ultimately is maybe not the most exciting fight when people are expecting it. Instead, he still did all the Sean O'Malley stuff he wants to do. And when Cheeto would start to get something going, when Cheeto would land something and finally look like, maybe he's going to turn the tide, Sean didn't just run away and reset and try and get back into his rhythm. He made Cheeto stop. He sat down and fired 8 back with heat, and Cheeto had to be like, all right, I'm going to back off for a minute. Like, that sort of ruggedness has never really been a part of Sean O'Malley's game, and he showed that on Saturday as well. If you come out of this thinking anything other than Sean O'Malley delivered an A performance and is one of, if not the best 3 bantamweights in the world, you're out of your goddamn mind. Like, I do not know what else to tell you.
Casey?
Yeah, it was a performance. Maybe not A plus, A performance. And calling, it's not the best ever title defense. There's been thousands of title defenses. Sorry, he wasn't number 1 most dominant title defense ever. But it was
thousands
the top
is a
5.
lot, but yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. People were like, it was like, I've seen other more dominant fights. It's like, okay, there's been lots of fights. It was incredible. And now it does make me more interested in the Merab fight because of Sugar's just fight IQ and just sticking to a game plan and still being aggressive. And yeah, he did get hit in the last 10 seconds, but even he said like, the fight was won. I decided to have a little fun in there. And whoops, that was dumb. all right, don't do that again. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the performance. I think we're all on the same page. Does call it Ilia Topuria. Kind of knew it was coming, even though he backtracked a little bit and was like, everybody hated the Topuria call out, so I'm just going to go. It's going to be Merab next no matter what. And then he goes and no-sells Merab and then kind of no-sells him in the back, and Merab was a little pissed off by that. So A grade for the performance, Jed. But overall, with the call of Ilia Topuria, and after listening to the ranking show, you and Shaheen were both on the same page. Let's just go to Spain and do Ilia versus Sean O'Malley right now. Let's not wait for it. It's the best fight we together.
I will drive to South Carolina and fist fight you.
That was, but obviously, him calling up when he called out Ilia, were you just like, oh, come on, dude? Like, I mean, in the back of the mind, he's like, look, if they want me to fight Merab, like, I'll fight Merab. But Sean's shooting a shot. Does it ding on the overall grade for you with the Ilia call out?
It does, because I hate it. I do at least. I understand it, because we talked about this sort of at length on the rankings pod, so go give that a listen. But I hate it. I think it's awful. I think it's awful both from I just am done with this. I'm so over champ stuff. I have been over it for longer than everyone else, but it just persists. I want it to die, but also because it's not going to happen. And so, like, shoot your shot, but it's not going to happen. And so all you did was diminish your next fight. There are ways to have built your next fight up better than what he did. He didn't, like, if he just calls in and is like, hey, everybody's saying Merab's the best dude, that he's going to run over me. But people were saying that about Cheeto, even though that's a lie. He could still say, you can say lies. That's fine. But like, I'm going to come in. He's sitting here cage side. Dana, bring him in here. I'm going to knock his ass out. And that gives you a promo and builds that next fight that is going to happen. Instead, he called out Ilia. And like I said, I understand it, because now is the only time that it could happen. It won't. It super should not. But he's got to fight Merab next. I think he can beat Merab. I did not think that 3 weeks ago. I now think that he can beat Merab. But here's the rub, man. He beats Merab. That's great. He can call out Ilia, but Ilia might not be the champ. Maybe Volk's taking it back. Maybe Movsar has stepped in. Featherweight also has a range of contenders. And by the time Sean O'Malley fights Merab Dvalishvili, it seems like we are full gears ahead for Corey Sandhagen fighting Umar Nurmagomedov. And I got to tell you, if a buddy with the last name of Nurmagomedov beats Corey Sandhagen, he's just getting a title fight. That's just it. And Sean's not going to be able to be like, no, now I want to fight Ilia. He's going to have to do the things champions do. If you want to be the champion, be the champion. If you don't, just bail. And that's fine. He said it himself in the post-fight presser. He was like, I'm bigger than the belt. Sweet. Drop the belt. Go fight whoever the hell you want to do and whoever you can make fight. I'm okay with that. But if you're going to be the champion, just hang around and defend against the multiple dudes in this weight class who deserve it. Piotr Jan's coming up. Davison Figueiredo's about to knock Cody Garbrandt, and suddenly he's going to be there. If he didn't get it right now, he's going to have to make 2 to 3 more title defenses before it becomes an option, because of frankly, the level of fighter that is at bantamweight and progressing up the ranks right now. So I get it. I hate it. It's not going to happen. I do think ultimately it was a bad choice, but this is the world we live in.
Even Ilia was like, even though he was like kind of calling for it down the stretch, even after the call out, even he was like, you know what? I didn't think you were actually going to do this, but go beat Merab and then we can talk. Like, Merab's right there. Go fight him first. Like,
Ilia needs to make up his goddamn mind.
Yeah.
Because he pre UFC 298 is like, I'm not going to fight any of these dudes. I don't, whatever, which was lame as shit. And then after he won the belt, he did chirp at Sean a little bit, like, if you win, you want to do this. And then after he's like, no, like, dude, just pick one, man. Just pick a dude and run with it. It's going to be Volk, but just pick anyone, and that's fine too.
Yeah. And we don't even know if they're going to get to Spain this year. We don't know. They're
going
to try, but
they're not getting to Spain, Mike. They didn't ever get to Africa when they had 3 goddamn African champions. You think they're going to get to Spain? Come on. They can't do anything right. Yeah. They booked UFC Australia a month before they went to Australia, and they did it in the Apex.
Yep.
They Casey, can't do anything.
What do you think of the last question? You think it's because he's nervous of Merab, or do you think Sean is just like, I want the biggest money fights I can get? Like, that's what I'm trying to do. And obviously, no disrespect to Merab, if they somehow book a stadium in Spain and Ilya's the main event, obviously Ilya versus O'Malley is a bigger fight than O'Malley versus Merab at the T-Mobile Arena. It just is. But I don't think this means that Sugar's nervous of Merab, right?
I don't think so. Yeah.
So, Casey, this was for you.
Oh, it was for me? Oh, I was like, no. Sorry.
I said
Casey,
right?
Oh, you did? Oh.
You did, but it was at the start, and I think you just didn't hear it.
Oh, so. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, he's not nervous. The idea of like, I'm nervous about Merab grinding me out and, I don't want to say pitter patter, but, 50-40-4ing me versus facing Ilya, who will like potentially knock my head out, out of the country if we fight in Spain. Like it'll be like you have to fight in the Mediterranean. I mean, like it's a scary fight either way. But to me the bigger question is like, because it's prize fighting. I don't hate the call out at all. It annoys me as a fan, but as a fighter, if I was Sean himself, I was like, I mean, how much more money do you think? 2-3 times more money facing Ilya versus Merab?
I truly do not think that it is substantial. Down the line, it will be. I believe Ilya Topuria is about to be the biggest star in the sport, and maybe the biggest star since Conor McGregor. Yeah. Like I believe that with my whole heart. I believe that that's about to be. If they go to Spain, he will sell out a stadium. That'll be great. I also have no belief that he is going to sell any more amount of pay-per-views, which is the bulk of the business model and the bulk of the extra money that comes to champions is revenue sharing on pay-per-views. Sean is not even like a great pay-per-view draw. If you listen to what Aljo said, it's like, I thought I was going to get a whole ton. I got a little bit extra. It wasn't that much, which honestly probably tracks with sort of the data points that I'm aware of for Sean O'Malley. Eminently popular and can grow into this sort of pay-per-view heavyweight, but his fan base doesn't entirely overlap with the pay-per-view purchasing fan base that the biggest MMA stars kind of need to make money. I think the same as with Ilya. I doubt that he is selling 700,000 pay-per-views at this juncture of his career. In a couple of years, he might be. And so like, this is getting a second belt. There's the cachet, all of that. He won't get it. He would get fucking annihilated. But on what the paycheck he would get strictly from these next two fights, I doubt it is significantly more. It's probably a little bit more because it is champ fight that sells a little bit more, but I doubt it's to the tune of millions,
Oh, if it is millions more, yeah. Take the. Yeah. What is the tougher fight? What is it tough? Because people are saying he's scared of Merab. But what's the tough?
Oh, yeah, it's Ilya by a mile.
Well, that's why I want to put out there because this is what feels crazy because Sean's scared of Merab, so he's going to take a tougher fight.
So it is a more difficult fist fight. There is substantially lower cost to it. Losing to Ilya is baked into the proposition. So your resume, your mystique is not harmed by losing to Ilya. That is the benefit of moving up a weight class. It's why, but for the one time TJ did it, basically, you never see champions go down a weight class to chase a belt because that looks worse. If you lose going up, you at least have the freebie of, he wasn't supposed to win. Again, I get it. At the same time, I think it's so unrealistic that to me, it's the same as calling for a fight with Floyd Mayweather. Sure, that if that happens, that would be the best business. It's just not going to happen. So you're wasting all of our time on the dumbest thing possible. Like, just be slightly realistic would be like, that's all I really ever want.
Yeah.
Chase your dreams.
And then just the whole, real quick before we move on, just the whole 292 buy rate thing. I don't take a lot of stock into that, even if it is low, because it was that was probably the worst time to headline a pay-per-view after two stacked redonkulous pay-per-views in July. Not to mention Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz was a week before that. There's just you're shelling out $200 before that card.
But if you are the kind of star that some people believe Sean is, it wouldn't matter what the other what the surrounding landscape was. Conor's selling $1 million. That's just who he is.
I don't think anyone thought Sean
I'm not
was
saying
that
any of us
fucking
have ever
good.
said that Sean is the next Connor, but there are people who believe that that's. I think maybe one day he gets there. I think that he is slightly more popular pay-per-view wise, not respective to anything else, but there's a very different calculation for who is selling pay-per-views versus not selling pay-per-views, because that audience is just different than the streaming audience that like follows Sean O'Malley on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that audience is also smart enough to know how to watch things without paying $80 for them. There are ways to do that. Or you can just go to MMAfighting.com, great website, and we got you covered. It's like watching it basically with my live blog. It's basically the same.
You can watch us watching it. I mean, it's the best. It's free. It's free.
All right, we got a $10 super chat.
Woo!
Excellent. Verity. Cheeto is handpicked for Sean because he's a stationary target and easy to hit. Zero lateral movement from that guy. Can we chill? Sheesh, feed him to Merab. Obviously, dude, this is a no-brainer heading into 292. We all said this. If Cheeto Vera beats Pedro Munoz and Sean O'Malley wins the bantamweight title, they are making this fight. This wasn't handpicked. This was set in stone. That's why Cheeto and Sean were both on 292. That's why when Henry Cejudo got hurt, we were like, Cheeto has to fight on this card. Put him in there with anybody. It does not matter. He just needs to fight Sean O'Malley coming off of a win against absolutely anybody, and they're going to make this fight. But again, Sean O'Malley beat the soul out of Cheeto Vera. Like, he beat his ass, and he messed up his face. He made Cheeto bleed his own blood. No one does that. Rob Font hit him in the face 325 times, and Marlon Vera looked like he just walked his dog around the block without a mark on him on a sunshiny 80-degree light wind day. Sean O'Malley beat him up, mangled him up. This is an impressive performance. He hurt Marlon a couple of times. Didn't finish him, but he hurt him. Look at that knee he landed. Dude, JDM gets a lot of credit for that.
That was knockout of the year. Sean O'Malley got robbed of knockout of the year because of Cheeto's freaking skull would not cave in. That would have been that knee should have been. That was Patchy Mix versus Stotts type of knockout where it should have seriously hurt Merab and it annoyed Merab. That's about it. I'm sorry, not Merab. I'm annoyed. Cheeto.
I take your point, Casey, but I don't think we can say anything's knockout of the year when we literally saw the hardest punch thrown by a human being in history send Francis Ngannou to the Shadow Realm on Friday. That's knockout of the goddamn lifetime as far as I'm concerned. My only note on Verity's comment here is, do we think Merab a master of lateral movement? Like, if you watched him fight, is Merab out there circling and cutting vicious angles? No. So I don't think that's not even the point. We should feed him to Merab and see how that goes. Again, I think I'm picking Merab, but it won't shock me if Sean just circles and fires 800 shots a minute into his face. Merab, I'll tell you what, we've seen Merab get hurt. If Merab's eating that knee, he's done. Because most people at that weight class are done if they're eating that knee. Like, it's a really interesting fight. We're going to get it. I'm very excited about getting it. It's just a bit unfortunate we have to go through all this other garbage to get to the obvious and future answer.
Yeah, Merab is the fight. There is no other fight. It is Merab Dvalishvili. Let's go. I'm interested in it. And I think Sean I think Sean can beat him. Merab is very hittable. He is very hittable. He does not have tremendous defense on the feet. Cejudo didn't drop him, but Cejudo stung him in that fight, in that first round. He put him to a knee, and Merab was like, oh, shit. He had to shake out the cobwebs a little bit. Sean hits a lot harder than Henry Cejudo does. So that is
way better timing, too.
Fight. Yeah. Love that fight.
We have a counter super chat.
Super chatting with you, Verity.
Yes. Oh, hottie. Sean O'Malley did awesome, but Cheeto often looks off until he finds a finish. Cheeto's a fan favorite, but very overrated. Merab is the real test. Not really somewhat of a counter, but
he says Sean O'Malley did awesome. Everyone else is like, Sean O'Malley must suck because I guess Cheeto sucks now because he got his ass kicked. You know,
Sean was just okay because he couldn't finish the unfinishable guy.
yeah.
But they took different paths. This is a little game of shoots and ladders, but they all landed at the finish line. Giving to Merab, and let's see.
And what
Here's
are
the
SA?
thing. Cheeto's overrated by some people, right? And those people are primarily Ecuadorian. And then like there are some other people who just like him and think, but he's pretty accurately rated, I think, for us. I'm about to pull up our rankings. I think we have him like in the top 10, which is fine because that's about who he is. He is a guy who doesn't, and this is going to sound a little bit hypocritical coming from me. He's a bit Brian Ortega-y, except for Brian just all the way sucks and Cheeto has some good parts to him. In that he doesn't really win moments. He just kind of wins fights. And that is a way to compete. It is a tough way to compete at the highest level, but there are dudes like that out there. I mean, Yoel Romero's whole career was not a round winning fighter. He won fights. That's who Cheeto is. We have Cheeto ranked number 9. I think that's correct. Like that's just about right. He's a top 10-ish, certainly a top 15 guy, but he's not really up the top. We all just know he got this title fight for reasons, and that's okay. So some people are overrating him. Yeah. I think he's mostly accurately rated.
Yeah. He's Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is like the prime not round winner. He just is always dangerous at any point. And like sometimes he does nothing.
You tell that to Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, well, that was a different.
Derek Lewis won those rounds against Francis. Thank you very much. Yeah. Also, Derek Lewis is our number 14 heavyweight. So again, in that same 10 to 15 range is about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not even the biggest Cheeto fan, but man, all this hate and Cheeto just sucks. Now I'm like, come on, man. You guys are crazy.
I mean, the reason you should dislike Cheeto is because Cheeto could be great. Cheeto has the raw tools to be exceptional, and instead he's what he is. He's an athlete and not like, or a fighter or whatever. Like he just isn't. If Cheeto learned to fight instead of just fighting, he'd be so damn good because he can't be hurt and he does have real offense, but he hasn't ever tried to keep up with the meta and be like, hey, I'm going to be a high volume fighter. I'm going to start fast instead of wait for 15 minutes before I punch. It has to be infuriating to coach him.
Can you imagine the first round between Cheeto and Peter Yan?
It would be the only first round in history that Peter Yan would win.
Yeah, I'm kind of
because he will at least put some volume out as he is trying to gather reads. Cheeto, like it is just listening to the corner the whole time. Like this fight was a little less so than the Sandhagen fight, where they are basically just pleading with him to do anything. But it's still like, all right, Cheeto, we knew he was going to have a strong first round. This is where we come alive. Okay, Cheeto, it's time to come alive now. You got to get out there and you got to try and do some stuff. Okay, Cheeto, anytime you want to start punching would be great for us. We'd be huge fans of it. It's just the same thing every time, man. Like, he has to be infuriating to coach.
Yeah.
Infuriating and also, oh my God, how did you survive that knee still?
Yeah.
How did he survive that knee? How did he freaking survive that knee?
Unbelievably tough. It's great.
All right. Got a super chat from our good friend, Achilles Jr.
Oh, super chatting with you, Hottie.
Keyless, BTL is awesome, guys, especially the ones with Jed, because someone has to have the worst takes. Who's most likely to get
My takes are great.
Damn.
I love my takes.
You're Crick usually getting the strays. Who's most likely to get deaded this weekend besides OSP? Jed, I think this is a pretty clear-cut answer.
Mike, I got to tell you, I did not think we were going to get questions about UFC Vegas 88 this weekend with all the other things that could be talked about. Who's going to get deaded this week? Probably OSP, but I wouldn't feel confident just because, I mean, it's one, have you listened to No Bets Bar? I have created a new nickname for Kennedy Nzechukwu. He will henceforth and forever be known as Kenny Nunchucks. And Kenny Nunchucks is not a reliable fighter, so I wouldn't bank on OSP losing. Who's going to get deaded this week? I mean, I think Marcin is going to get deaded this week. I feel pretty okay about Marcin Tybura getting deaded this week.
Ooh.
Mitch Ramirez is probably the actual like best answer because Thiago Moises is good and he's not. But I think Tybura is about to get got.
Yeah, that's probably it's probably the answer. So, yeah, I'm with you. It's probably Tybura, but man, if we get to like the 6-minute mark of that fight, sheesh, that's gonna get real ugly.
When Ty wins, it's exclusively by knockout. So, and I think he's going to rebound just because the guys, to his credit, when he went on the MMA Hour this week, he was like, "Yeah, I'm on a 3-fight losing streak. Look at the dudes I've lost to. That's fine. Like, I lost to Volkov, I lost to Cyril Gane. These are, and I was doing very well against Cyril Gane. Like, these are reasonable losses." That's true. Marcin Tybura is a very different ilk than that crop, and I think Ty's in position to get back on track.
I think something's about to happen, guys.
What things?
You'll see.
Oh, is it a Shaheen thing or is there breaking news?
No, there's no breaking news. Well, I mean,
I want to say who's going to get deaded, and it's going to be Chelsea Chandler because the beast Nunes is moving down to bantamweight to wreak havoc and take over the division.
Chelsea Chandler is out of Stockton, and I operate under the assumption that no one from Stockton can ever get deaded.
Except by Nunes. All right.
2 decisions in the last 2 fights.
She's at 35. All right.
KZ, you won't listen to No Bet Sport. You won't notice this. In 2023, women's bantamweight fights in the UFC went to decision 73% of the time.
Because they're so gosh dang competitive.
They are. I'm just saying this one's going to decision as well. Statistically, that's the most likely outcome.
Well, if she doesn't run away from the heat from Josiana Nunes, then yeah.
She's so small. If she was larger, she would be just amazing.
Another Vegas 88 question. Any fight you are looking forward to this weekend, and why not?
Letitia, that's a terrific question. Are you looking forward to anything, Mike?
Dude, I got to tell you, this to me is, this card has no stakes. I mean, none at all. I mean, you have some at women's 135, but all these women are so far away from a title shot right now. It's not even funny. But like, just looking at the rest of the fights, like Thiago Moises and Mitch Ramirez, I think we kind of know what's going to happen there. But the rest of the card, like all of these fights are going to be fun as hell. Like they're not fighting for anything except a second paycheck, but it's got to be a fun watch. Brian Battle Angelosa is going to be a fun fight. Kenny Tsuchuko Ovince Peru could be really sad, so I'll skip that one. Christian Rodriguez, Isaac Dolgarian is going to be a fun-ass fight. Gerald Meerschaert, Brian Barberena is going to be fun as hell for as long as it lasts. Mike Davis is back against
Mike Davis.
Levy. They are going to beat the shit out of each other. O'Day Osborne, Jafel Filo, someone's getting like flying knee KO'd. Josh Kulabau, Danny Silva is going to be absolute like recklessness. And Chad Ellinger versus Gregario is going to be reckless too. So like, these guys ain't fighting for anything. So if you take all the sizzle and stakes and all of it out of this and compare it to 299, like you can't do that. But if you just look at this as like, look, I'm just going to go in and just watch fights and have a good time, open-minded, I think you're going to have a damn good time on Saturday. Like there's a lot of fun ass fights that mean really nothing in the overall landscape of things, but they are fun ass fights.
Yeah. I mean, exactly right. Like I think that this can end up being a tasty burger. It's not. It can be pretty good. If I'm picking one, it's Danny Silva, Josh Kulabau. Danny Silva rocked. Who is that man who no longer has hair and has all his sleeves on? I don't know who this person is who's jumped in. But yeah, Danny Silva coming off the Contender Series. He just rocks. That's it. Like he's super fun. I am a very big enjoyer of his fist fights. I had him ranked in the big paws in a puppy. So as like a legitimate prospect to watch coming off Contender Series, and his fight with Angel Pacheco was the
That
dude's
fight
name,
was
who's
awesome.
as the best fight of the whole season. And Pacheco, even coming off that loss, is getting his UFC debut at the end of the month at the Atlantic City card. Like he's Danny Silva's super fun. Koulibal's been pretty good. That's a really fun fight. But also C-Rod Bulgarian's probably fun. Like there are some moments that are going to be tough here, but I think there are also some moments that are going to be quite enjoyable.
Yeah, Mike Davis and Danny Silva on the same card. Mike Davis, one half of the best fight ever on the Contender Series with Sadiq Youssef. That fight friggin' rocked from one of the earlier seasons. So if you've never watched that fight, highly recommend you go back and watch that one. You will not be sorry. Shaheen, can you hear us?
What's up, fellas? Yes, now I can. How you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Shaheen,
Jed thought you were
have
too
AirPods
scared to
now?
show up here.
Do I have AirPods? I was literally on a podcast with you yesterday with these on, but yeah,
I wasn't paying
I've had
attention
them.
to you yesterday. I was firing takes off.
You had some spicy ones. You had some real spicy ones. I'm bummed. I was looking forward to this little friendly competition. I apologize. Cox Internet is the worst internet in the history of mankind, and I'm incredibly frustrated with them. I pay them way too much money for this consistently terrible internet. So my apologies, gentlemen.
Thank you for the segue. This show is being brought to you by... No, I'm just kidding. Let's keep the questions going. It's good to have
Matija,
Shaheen here.
it was great to talk to you, Matija.
Yes.
Oh,
chat
wow. Coming in just for this one. I see how it is.
Oh, Poirier and Islam
Talking
sells, but is there any
trash.
chance Dustin wins? Habib and Charles both choked him out. Shaheen Al-Shadi is a coward. Jed the GOAT. I think Chad is just taking Jed's opening lines.
I don't know what you're talking about.
them on you, but Shaheen is here
I
right
didn't
now.
say anything.
He is here.
Oh,
He has showed up.
Is this true? All right.
I didn't-
yeah.
I
I
don't know
have to
what you're talking
rewind
about.
this program after the fact.
And then he realized that he had a performance review with you earlier, and he took it all back.
Yeah,
So
I rescinded
keep
it
that in
all, as I recall.
But Shaheen, I'll throw this to you. Any chance Dustin wins against Islam? Because that fight, I would say, is a very good chance this one happens, especially if Islam truly is ready to fight in June and no other timeline works for him. What are the chances, 1 to 10? What chance do you give Dustin Poirier of beating Islam Makhachev?
Of winning that fight, probably not very high. Maybe like a 3 out of 10. I mean, he is Dustin Poirier. Ultimately, he's one of the best lightweights in the world. He's one of the best lightweights of all time. I really enjoyed the discussion we had on Little Plug here on the ranking show this week. Basically, essentially trying to parse out Dustin Poirier's place in the lightweight pantheon and sort of where he stands amongst this division historically, because lightweight is such a weird division, right? Like it's such a volatile division. It's always been pretty much the most talent heavy division, that in bantamweight, but like there's just not sustained runs of dominance. You kind of get guys who are really good in windows of maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 years if you're lucky. And Dustin's just been doing this for so long. I mean, Jed and I, we totaled it up. Like the sheer amount of wins that this man has racked up that are you would really consider quality wins in the lightweight division at this point is genuinely greater than any other fighter to ever do it at 155. Like there's a very real case that Dustin Poirier is a top 4 to 3 lightweight all time right now. And if he was able to get this title shot and pull off just an incredible upset, I think he could very well just be the second best lightweight we've ever seen. I wouldn't pick it. I hope that fight is ultimately what happens, because to me, that's the most interesting version of how this can play out, just because the UFC has robbed Peter to pay Paul with its short-term thinking with all this. I wouldn't predict it, but man, can you just imagine the absolute scenes if Dustin Poirier jumps a ghillie and submits Islam Makhachev and just replaces Michael Bisping for like the greatest feel-good surprise shock moment of all time. That would just be the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Jed, 3? That's what Shaheen's number is? Do you give it that high or no?
No, not at all. 1 out of 10 might even feel a little generous. Like he would almost certainly lose, but that's why they fight the fights. And think about how fun it would be. Maybe Islam's the kind of guy who can read the lay of the land and be like, you know what? He needs this more. I'm already defeated. I can't hold on to the Khabib undefeated resume. I would get an immediate rematch, certainly, or Dustin would retire on top, and then I just get to get the belt back my next fight. Maybe I'll just leave my neck out there a little bit. Let him jump the Gilly. I know he wants to do it. Maybe I will generously give him this as to fet him as the great last moment of a good man's career. Probably unlikely. Like I would say that seems unlikely to happen, but you never know. We should watch the fight. It's not I saw somebody else earlier posted this or put the question up, and I don't know if they put money behind it. So I don't know if Casey has it pulled, but who is the most meritocratic opponent for Islam? And it's obviously not Dustin. Dustin just lost to Gaethje, but the way this timeline works out, it does seem like this makes the most sense. No one will complain about it if Gaethje beats Max. Gaethje can get next afterwards, and that's fine. And this would at least, even if he goes in and loses, which he almost certainly will, it would still be a feel-good story that he got one more crack at the belt. He got to jump the Gilly one more time and see if it worked when it never will. It would just be great. I hope we end up getting it. And honestly, I hope he does it. I'm about as big an Islam fan as there is in the world, but it would just be too cool not to have something like that happen if we could manifest it. So add this to the list of things we're hoping for in 2024, right behind John Jones grows a set and decides to actually fight against real people instead of retired firefighters.
Is there a way, can we propose to set up a meeting between Islam Makhachev and Nico Price? Can we get these two gentlemen in the room and have Nico Price talk to this man about, hey, you remember when I lost to Robbie Lawler and it was really cool? Everybody sort of just really appreciated it. I'm sure he's gotten a lot of positive feedback from that experience. Can we set up some sort of meeting between these two gentlemen and maybe Nico Price can convince him of this? Because this moment, I feel like we deserve this moment as an MMA fan base.
I see. Here's what I respect about you, Shaheen. That's the angle you come at this from. Whereas I'm like, can we spike his IV bag with something bad that's just going to like make him sluggish for the fight? Like I was going much more nefarious than you were. So I love that. I love this idea of let's do it in a positive manner instead of poisoning the lightweight champion.
Well, I feel like that's the dynamic between us. I'm the good angel on Mike Heck's shoulder. You're the bad angel. But we come together, the three of us, and we create gold. We create great ideas that we can then take forth into the world and put into action,
Maybe Nico Price holds the poison and he makes the decision based on his conversation with Islam. I don't know. Let Nico decide.
Here's what we should do. We should allow Poirier to cheat as much as he wants in the fight. Like he's at legend status, and so he's allowed to cheat. And Islam gets I know everyone's allowed to cheat. There are no actual rules because the referees are unilaterally terrible. But Dustin doesn't even get warnings. It's just like, just keep kicking him low. It's fine. And let's see if Islam can fight the handicapped and win,
No. You've got me working now. Like we have stumbled upon something.
This is how we create. This is creative process, boys and girls.
Let's just say we own the UFC for a week here. One of the first rule changes maybe we enact, you get every I don't know what the number would be. Maybe every 10 fights that you have banked, you get a little bit more of an allowance, right? You get a little bit more leeway. So if you're like Jim Miller over here, Jim Miller can just full on eye gouge you. He can just soccer kick you. He can do whatever he wants because he's Jim effing Miller. But like Dustin Poirier is not quite there, but he's put in his time. He's invested in this, right? You're investing in your future. Dustin Poirier has invested in his future. I feel like this all comes back now. Like he can absolutely get into this title shot. And what kind of leeway do we give him? We give him 5 fouls. We give him maybe soccer kicks. Like I got it.
Soccer kicks won't matter because Islam will
grounded knees to the head.
To get soccer.
We give him
the wheel. Put it on a wheel. Spin the wheel. You spin a wheel, whatever it lands on, that's the advantage Poirier gets. The wheel always comes into play. The wheel always gets over.
Still think Islam wins. He'd need
But
a
it
pretty
will be
big
more fun,
advantage.
right? How much more fun would that be?
I mean, I'm always for all of these ideas. Like, you're the dominant thing. Just have fun. Who cares? It's not like people are going to stop watching if you go insane with half of your product. It's fine.
Maybe like a bag full of
Can we
splinters.
just- Oh.
As we know, splinters
coat
are
the
the most
floor?
damaging.
I like it.
Islam goes, hey, what's
Does-
that? Goddard's like, fight's over.
Just throw caltrops in the cage. Fuck it. You know? Only on Islam's side, but he has to walk through a selection of caltrops to get to Poirier.
Just give Dustin like a roll of sandpaper. Can we he gets one custom weapon after like 25 minutes or 25 fights.
Dude, no. Dustin just gets to where the outside of his shorts are sandpaper. So Islam, to wrestle him, will have to just be grinding his skin into sandpaper.
Oh, this is great.
I mean,
this is
the idea factory right here. Just pop it off.
We need a wealthy investor to just give all of us so much money to be able to enact our dreams here, because we'll make the greatest MMA promotion you've ever seen. You will have so much fun.
Our big dream is sandpaper shorts. That's what we came down to. We're sandpaper shorts. Now pay us money.
Casey, has anyone else thought of sandpaper shorts? They sure haven't. This is an original from us.
So we could do
Turkey.
a combo. We could
come on.
Turkey.
Turkey, come on. I know you're watching. Hit me up. I'm ready. Let's go.
His Excellency, come on, give us some money here. So the sandpaper shorts, but also Joseph Hall in the comments with a great idea. Also, maybe a little pocket sand with the sandpaper shorts.
I mean,
any chance you bring
we're
up Tony?
really giving Dustin all of the advantages.
It has to be Tony throwing the sand.
We want the moment.
Wait, it has to be. It has to be Dustin. Maybe Ferguson. Tony Ferguson is the ref. How about that? And then he can just,
Special referee?
Special referee Tony Ferguson.
I have always wanted them to do a special referee just to do it, because it would be deeply amusing for them to be like, God. And Connor's reffing this one.
Oh, Connor.
No,
not?
If we're doing guest referee, I just want DC in like that WWE referee outfit that he sported that one time. That really undersized him.
Dude, DC reffing that fight would be super interesting because he's got good relationships with both dudes. Ooh.
No, he'll give
tucked in shorts, like all the way up to the belly button. Just like,
I mean,
we can't have DC ref and Islam fight. I'm not for that.
No.
He loves Dustin.
I mean, Dustin's his boy. They're Louisiana boys.
One of them he sees every fight camp. Right. No, can't do it. Can't do that one. I like all the other ideas though. Let's keep working.
All right.
Let's keep working. Keep throwing it out. Turkey will hit us up. Big Turk coming through with the investment fund, and we can make things happen.
Did anyone write down sandpaper shorts? Because I don't want to forget this. I won't
forget sandpaper shorts.
We got a whole list. We got a whole list coming.
We have a super chat. But before we go to that super chat, go on.
Well, real quick, just before we transition, can you guys think of, because I've been thinking about this all week, just because I've been so impressed with Dustin, especially like the MMA Hour interview afterwards, right? Just like sort of how much he has consistently led us inside of his head over the course of whatever 10, 15 years, and just been like so vulnerable and so open. I mean, I remember being in Abu Dhabi when he lost to Habib, and just that press conference that night of him, the post-fight press conference, was maybe one of the most vulnerable press conferences I've ever seen in my life. Like, I will never forget that. Can you think of another fighter of this era who has like this type of really just intensely special relationship with the fan base, with the fellow fighters, like the community? It feels like Dustin is so universally beloved on like a level that very few people actually reach.
No, I mean, he's that's what we were talking about on the ranking spot. So again, go listen to that. But it's, even if he is not in your top 5 lightweights of all time, which I think that's okay. When we went through it, I had him ranked as the 4th best lightweight of all time based on accomplishment at this point. Even if he's not there, are there 4 other lightweights whose career you would rather have? Are there 3 lightweights whose career you would rather have? He is so beloved. It's, I mean, honestly, I want to stop talking about it because the way this sport works, in like 5 years, he'll just come out as just an awful human because apparently that we aren't allowed to have nice things. But yeah, it's astonishing how much he is connected with fans and how good of a person he is to have also achieved what he has done, because those two things do not go hand in hand often in this sport.
Yeah. The only other one I could think of was, and I don't think it's to the same degree, but I think it's somewhat in the conversation as Max Holloway.
I was going to say Max.
Holloway has kind of built that.
That's a good call. That's a good.
Max is it.
And those guys fought an amazing fight, which was only the second best fight on that card.
I mean, I guess you could also argue like Forrest, or previously, like Forrest was very connected with fans in a lot.
I would say
ways.
a big no in Forrest for me, but yeah, I got you there.
I mean, not connecting to not to the extent that Poirier and Max. I mean, largely because they've had 40 some odd fights or whatever in the UFC, but there have been a couple. But it is a really rarefied air to have achieved kind of where they are popularly.
Certainly.
And yeah, that's the thing, is like the longevity aspect, right? Because like Forrest, sure, he was like intensely popular and very much that guy for a while, but it didn't last nearly as long as this. Like this has just lasted like more than a decade at this point. And like the amount of history that we have with Dustin is just, it's intense, man.
All right.
For sure.
I feel like we just retired Dustin. Jeez, the guy's still, it's a title fight coming up.
Are you kidding? We're over here trying to handicap.
I know.
Handicap Islam for this
baby.
You're a Nico pricing him. Hey, Nico. Nah, you're getting close. You're getting close the way you're talking.
Although I did see someone in the comments. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Shine a spotlight in Islam's eyes throughout the entire fight.
Ooh.
Give Dustin a laser pointer.
It's just make him fight one-eyed. I mean, true champions fight with one eye. Ask Michael Bisping. So make Islam fight with an eye patch.
All right, moving on. We have a super chat, but I'm going to skip that super chat. It's a great super chat, but I want to talk about this other wonderful fighter that has just left the sport.
Can you give some love to Joanne Wood? She gave years to the UFC. What's your thoughts on her career and favorite moments? Shaheen, you're great at putting this stuff into words. Joanne Wood had her final fight, a victory over Marina Moroz, a hard-fought, come-from-behind decision win. Your thoughts, your reflections on the career of JoJo Calderwood, now known as Joanne Wood.
I think, first of all, if anybody hasn't seen it, you should go look up Casey's YouTube channel, because Casey has a tremendous montage, or I guess I don't know how you would want to put it.
Just a little montage highlight reel. Yeah. From her,
like a little tribute video.
Yeah.
From the early days, and I think that's like ultimately like JoJo she would stand out to me always as someone that in a different timeline where the UFC embraces fun could have probably had such a different type of career, because she really did like if she was able to embrace herself fully and sort of who she was early in the career, of like wearing the kilt out and just sort of like the gimmicks that she like sort of embodied. Like she was so much fun back then, and the kilt uniform in particular was just like such a classic. I think that she has a little bit of a different career just in terms of connecting with the fan base and things like that. Like she was very popular. And you know, she was always such a sweetheart, and she's like the nicest person you've ever met. Like it's just unbelievable how nice she is in person. But yeah, I wish that she functioned in a different timeline where the UFC embraced fun, because I do think we could have had maybe more memories and more moments from her. It sucks that she never really got that opportunity, that title opportunity that was hers, and then she just sort of lost by needing money and needing to fight and not being able to sit around and wait, which again is just another brutal reality of this sport. But awesome nickname, right? Bad Mofo JoJo, Dr. Neville, like all of these are classics. Incredible action fighter, one of the best like action fighters from that early set of of the women who came into the UFC in particular. Like I remember, what was the tough season that she was on? It was with Carla Esparza and all the strawweights, right?
Yeah.
Champion season.
Yeah, she lost to
Yeah,
unfortunately. She lost to Rose in the in the house. So she ran into Rose Namajunas. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, like everybody that's such a legendary season of mine. Like that was when tough still mattered. So tons of awesome fun fights from JoJo Calderwood or JoJo Wood, however you want to call her.
my quick story about JoJo. I was working for Invicta at the time, so this is Invicta. What is this, like 6, Invicta 3 or whatever like that. And she has just had an amazing fight versus Livia von Plettenberg, defeated her. And then I was doing backstage interviews, and I kind of asked her off camera. I was like, because she was so nice and so quiet. I was like, he said, guys, like, why are you doing this? Like, you just don't. I'm sorry, you just don't seem like the person that would do this. And she says to me, real quiet, she goes, I'm not a very confident person, but when I fight, I'm a wee bit more. I was like,
I love the accent work there, Casey.
Yeah, that was great.
and I was like, I love you, JoJo. Give me a hug. And yeah, she's just one of my favorite people, and I'm very happy that she's in Vegas. I'm happy her and John Wood have a great family, and her and her stepson, and just happy trails, JoJo Wood, sorry. Happy trails. All right.
And she gets to go out with a winning record.
Yep.
Yeah. Two fun fights to end her career. Carolina was a good fight. Miriam Morosa's fun. I think, at least since I've been with MMA fighting, I think I can't believe I ever asked this to a fighter, but it ended up being one of the big stories coming out of UFC 257. She fights Jessica Ai, and in the corner, in between rounds, she lets out just the biggest belch you'll ever hear on live television. We got to do an interview right after that, and I got to ask her about a belch mid-fight, which is always fun. So, yeah, happy trails to Joanne Wood. Good for her. She never got the title shot, but she earned it. She got there. But as Shaheen said, just kind of the weird thing of the sport.
Did she earn it? I'm not trying to shit on her. I think it's okay.
Beating Andrea Lee gives her the title fight. Yes. Yeah. She earned it that night.
She did.
She had just lost to Chukagian.
Yeah.
I think it's not like if she gotten it, that would have been fine. Yeah, but again, I think you know
who was supposed to get the title shot. Okay. Yeah, who was supposed to get the title shot over JoJo at that time?
I don't know. Jennifer Maia would have been fine. Which I think ultimately is what happened, right?
Yes.
You just answered your own question.
Yeah.
So it's like it's all just.
So all we did is eliminate a title contender for Shevchenko.
Yeah. Again, my point is not to shit on Joanne Calderwood, and I feel the animosity from the three of you through the screen right now.
Wait, I don't want to shit on Joanne Calderwood, but did she really deserve it?
No, like she got it, but it's not like a travesty that it didn't happen through. But what I remember is that she was in the first flyweight fight in UFC history. Like that's meaningful. That's pretty fucking cool. So, and yeah, she's a fun fighter.
Casey.
Yes, sir.
Casey, let me ask you, because I feel like we're in similar spots here. Like we're at spots where like people who came into this game while we were already doing this job are now leaving this game while we're still doing this job. And it's making me feel pretty weird.
I felt that when Ariel said that on the MMA Hour, talking about that kind of the same thing. We've been in this game so long, we've seen people come into the sport and leave the sport, have full careers, start from the prelims, go all the way to the main event, back down to prelims, and then retire. We've seen I knew this day would kind of come, but it is kind of still kind of shocking to me. That's all. Like, it's just,
I don't like it.
I mean, we have fighters. Yeah, we're covering fighters now who were born in this millennium, So it's just weird. But here we are. We're still doing it. Super chats. $20 super chat.
Damn.
80 more. You could have been on the show, Tanvir. Come on.
I know, you're so close. How do you guys see the Corey versus Umar fight going? So that is obviously not officially booked, but Umar called for the rebooking with Corey Sandhagen after his win a couple of weeks ago. Corey has jumped on social media and said, yeah, man, I'll dictate the time. We'll do it International Fight Week. Umar responded with semi-location. Be a tremendous fight for June 29th on that card. So if they book this fight, Jed, how are you seeing it? Who are you picking?
I'm picking Umar Nurmagomedov. I believe he is the best bantamweight in the world. He can compete with Corey in the striking, though. I wouldn't give the advantage to Corey with his diversity of strikes, his abilities there on the feet. But mostly, it's going to look like a Nurmagomedov fighting. Granted, a Nurmagomedov fighting who can also chuck the mitts, but it's a Nurmagomedov. He's going to tackle Corey a bunch. He's going to sort of dominate him on the ground. I feel pretty decent about how that goes down. I mean, TJ Dillashaw had some success. I think Umar's a better control grappler. Be a great fight. Can't wait for that fight. But I'm going to back Umar until somebody gives me a reason not to.
Shaheen?
I think gun to my head, I would pick Umar, but I wouldn't pick it with nearly the same confidence that Jed seems to have. To me, I mean, Corey Sandhagen is the elite of the elite of the elite in this division, right? Like, not many people in this division are going to be able to manhandle Corey Sandhagen. I understand the idea of the wrestling, and I think that's probably why I would ultimately side towards Umar, just because I think that's probably his best path to victory, and that's something that he can't execute. I don't know, though. It wouldn't shock me if it was Corey Sandhagen. Dude's just so good, man. Dude, Corey is like, I'm not going to say anybody's walking over Corey like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Like, from a betting perspective, I'm probably betting on Corey because I'm sure he's going to be a balloon as an underdog. So I would probably bet on Corey, especially if it's like a main card fight during a pay-per-view. But I don't know, man. Like, it's the same reason why, like, I was pretty confident hitting plus money bet on Dustin Poirier against Benoit Saint-Denis. Not saying Umar is like the same fighter Benoit is, but experience matters, man. Big fight experience matters, even against an Nurmagomedov. Now, Umar could go in there in 30-26, Corey. Very possible. But until I see it, I still have questions about Umar. He's very good, but he's got some defensive holes that he needs to shore up, or Corey can make it a pretty rough night for him because Corey can hit pretty damn hard when he wants to. So, want to see it bad. There is no other fight that should be made right now. And let's go. Get it done.
I just want to say that Nurmagomedov's like of the branch familially connected to Abdulmanap, they are a combined 54-0 in MMA. 53-0-1 if you want to count the no contest Umar got against Usman. Sorry, not Umar. Usman got against Brent Premise because of the drug test thing, but they ain't lost. They're just not losing. It's an insane stat.
It is. But let's see what he does against Corey Sandhagen. It's a big jump.
I mean,
but I'll tell you what, if he does to Corey Sandhagen what he's done to everybody else, I'm in. He's the best. I would probably rank him number one at bantamweight if he does that to Corey Sandhagen.
At some point, they are due for a loss, but it is fucking wild.
I'm going to think about it. I'm going to think about it.
The Merab Dvalishvili disrespect going on right now is outrageous.
How are we disrespecting Merab?
He didn't fight Corey Sandhagen.
Sure. Okay.
Merab's not involved in this conversation. How are we
I don't have Merab ranked number one now.
I know. I needed you on the ranking show yesterday. You would have been the only person with O'Malley.
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Okay with O'Malley. I think I've had O'Malley higher than everybody for a long time.
All right. Quick super chat from Matija.
There are two Bam Bam fighters this weekend. Jed, I know you love a gimmick parlay. I assume you have a Bam Bam parlay going for this Saturday.
What am I, a rookie? Of course I do. This is like the first thing I did this week when I was looking at bets. One, I've introduced a new bet every week where I'm just going to bet blindly on whoever I think has the best nickname on the card. Last week, what was what's his nickname? Give me a second. It's Asu Amabayev's, but I have to pull up his nickname so I don't remember what it actually is. But it translates to the spine splitter, which is sick. And I was like, Asu has the best one. Give me one moment as I'm pulling him up. Zulfikar, which as I went down a rabbit hole is apparently the name of a sword in the Islamic faith, of something that translates to spine splitter. And he won. And I think Bam Bam is the coolest nickname on this fight card, though I will also acknowledge there are some pretty good ones. Shout out to Panikianzad. Bonsai, I think, is the second best fight nickname on the card. And I do think Tai Tuivasa is the better Bam Bam. Like, if we're being honest, I think that he wears Bam Bam better than Brian Barberena does, even though I appreciate the alliteration for Brian Bam Bam Barberena. But I mean, obviously we parlayed them up because what am I, a rube? Of course I'm doing that.
All right. Super chat.
Also, I gave you a wrong stat about Nurmagomedov's because there's 17-0, 17-0-1, and 29-0. So that's what 34 plus 29 is what's that? 60 something? 63. So I actually sold them short. That is insane.
Jesus. Too late now.
63-0-1 no contest. Good God.
All right, we got time for a couple more, gentlemen. Chase, thank you. For the love of God, I hope the UFC doesn't bring Bilal back to my state. I'll tell
Buddy,
you,
buckle up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You might be unhappy.
Buckle up. You better hope that they're going to Brazil with that fight for some reason, because buckle up.
There are two people. I'll tell you who would be very happy if Leon and Bilal headline that card. It would be Jorge Masvidal, Nate Diaz, and anybody else that is a part of having any vested interest into that June 1st event in Los Angeles. Because if that's the main event, I don't think it's going to do gangbusters on pay-per-view, Diaz Masvidal, but I think it does a lot better than if it's Islam versus Dustin on that card instead. Then they're toast. But I think if you're those guys, you are hoping it's Leon versus Bilal headlining that card.
I'm sorry, Chase. You will get Leon Bilal with Juliana versus Raquel Pennington co-main event, and you will like it.
Oh my God.
That was cruel. That was just mean. Why are you in such a bad mood today?
I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest.
You will like
prepare this.
You will like it. Chase Turner contributed $4.99 to our super chat, and you attack him like that?
Chase, here's the thing that I feel.
I love you as a person, as a man, as a fellow human being on this world. I appreciate your support, but I need you to prepare yourself for what you're probably getting, because that's probably it.
Also, it just sucks, Chase, because you would be like, oh, they're coming to Jersey twice in the span of a couple of months. That Atlantic City card is one of the worst fight night cards in recent memory on paper, and 302 is probably not going to be great. Okay, Jersey is getting the fallout from everything else.
Very Jersey. Thank you.
Shout out Jersey. We love you.
It's tough, man. Have you guys looked at that Atlantic City fight card? Whew. This is a tough hang.
Is Atlantic City the apex of the East Coast?
I mean, this would be like a solid apex card.
Hold on, I'm looking at this now. This isn't like we've had some bad cards. This is fine.
We've had bad apex cards. You got to put
saying.
them in their buckets. This would be a solid to good apex card. This is a pretty bad fight night card.
Dude, the Apex has ruined your memory because they used to take bad cards like this on the road all the time.
But now they don't. You know, a lot of things used to happen. Thing about the old days is, Sean, the old days.
Yeah. We already discussed how old we are.
This card will instantly be better just with the crowd. And, you got some Nate Landwehr on there. You got Vicente Luque Buckley. That's good. Chris Weidman might have a moment. That's a Bruno Silva fight. That's
a moment?
Fun.
You think he's going to have a moment? He's going to have a sad moment.
Sometimes you try to hope for the best and prepare yourself for the worst,
Joseph Paul saying New Jersey needs to prepare to eat their leafy greens.
They do. They do, buddy. End of the meal. Get that salad down.
That's it. That card's a colonic. Yeah, it just cleans you out. Very healthy, but
I mean, it's high in fiber. High in fiber.
This,
Mickey Gall
Jed-
Basil Hafiz is already booked on the 302. Jesus. That card's going to be a tough hang, buddy. I'm sorry.
all right. Couple more.
Did you introduce the system yet to people?
No, I haven't. You can do that. I mean, it is largely your baby.
It's okay. We'll table it then. I would be curious how the fart system applies to this one, but we can table it.
What? The what system?
It's the fart system. We've created a new system for judging events. It's fights above replacement tussles. Like war in baseball, only for fights. But since we're largely using it to talk about bad cards like the Apex cards, it's the fart system. For instance, just kind of offhandedly looking at UFC videos.
there.
Because we came up with this yesterday.
Tussles.
There's
We're
not
trying
a lot
to find
of
a
words
T
for
one.
fight. Start with a T, okay?
We're trying to find
God.
a T word to make it fart.
Oh,
That's
so
great.
funny. Fights above replacement
This is a hot.
tussles.
This is a pretty low fart score for Tuivasa and Tybura, as you can imagine, or a high fart score. I'm not really sure how we want to.
How many toots does this card get?
I'm just saying, a lot of replacement level fights on this weekend's
Yeah.
fight card.
How many above average fights, you know?
This weekend,
All right, I'm not sure where to go now.
technically, we're probably supposed to call Panty Kanzad Macy Chase on. I think that's two ranked fighters. Probably supposed to call that above a replacement fight, but
Eunice
spiritually,
Chandler
does
is
that feel
ranked
right?
fighter too.
Again, spiritually, is that above a replacement level fight though? I don't know. It's a low fart index for Vegas 88, boys.
We are children. This is the best. That might be the best.
Shaheen and I had 5 minutes yesterday where we were just talking through this. It's great.
Oh my god, unbelievable. Do we have anything else, or are we good? I mean, I don't know how we could do better.
No, we're talking about the fart system.
Yeah,
the S is for.
That's the S. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
farts. Yeah, sorry.
Fights above replacement tussles system.
All right.
Oh my god.
I think
I just want to put this out here right now. Don Davis, we can find a way to get this information plugged into the smart cage. If you want advanced analytics like farts to be involved.
The fart cage. The fart cage.
Oh God.
This is hit the music.
I have the best
Louise.
job.
This is unbelievable. I mean, what a graphic that would be to talk about indexes, comparing cards, and
Miles per hour and farts. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
oh my god, wow, what an audible we have called, ladies and gentlemen. But we'll be back next week, and I guess we'll recap UFC Vegas 88 and get you ready for UFC Vegas 89. Rose Namajunas versus
Also
Amanda
low
Ibas.
fart index card.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough
Arguably
one.
lower.
That is a tough card. Yeah, that's a tough one. For Shaheen, for Casey, for Jen, I am Mike Heck. The iconic voice takes you home. Back next week. Good night, everybody.
Love y'all.
This has been Between the Links, an MMA fighting production on the Vox Media Network.